All right. Well, three of
Well,
them
we're
are
back.
in. I see.
Okay. I am not a robot.
Oh, there we are.
It's crazy.
That's funny.
Crazy.
Three of
We
us.
didn't get Alex back.
Yeah, we were really having a very good conversation, which is frustrating to me. It was like really on a roll.
Right, I know. And that,
So hold the thought.
the one, and Alex will come back, but that does concern me with, people who really are struggling to buy a home, first time home buyers who, do need the assistance. They can afford the payment once they get there,
Right.
but these people coming in from the city, I mean, I totally understand what, was it Tracy, what she was saying?
Yes.
As far as, maybe there's a way to vet, but there really isn't. I mean, otherwise
really.
it's discriminating. So yeah.
Right. Well, and the big thing too is when you consider the price of a fixer upper, right? Nobody has money left over to do the fixing.
Exactly.
And upgrading.
That's so true. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
and now people are asking to list more. We just got a new listing and they want to list 50,000, 75,000 more than we know it's even worth. But what are you going to do? You're going to tell your seller, sorry, I'm not going to do that. You're going to try it and see what happens. Right, Tim? I mean, what do you do?
Yeah, I had about 6 of those with a client. We sold a few because the market caught up to it.
Right.
But I think 3 or 4 of them, I just, we went 6 months. I said, and he goes, hey, let's relist them. I said, that's okay. All the effort it takes into marketing it, and you get the phone calls, and it was overwhelming on my time, and it wasn't productive.
Exactly.
So you should be the second agent on it.
Right. Always.
Then the seller gets realistic.
That's true. So true. So Alex, you were saying,
refer it out.
Yeah, refer it out. Alex, you were saying that because we were talking about how these first-time home buyers or those needing assistance are getting beat out. How is this all affecting them?
No, it is, and I think one of the issues that it seems like everybody wants to do, every seller wants to sell in 30 days, right? 35 days is not possible, 30, 40 days. And what's happening now with COVID, we've seen the mortgage industry, when we talked about these channels of distribution to get a loan from A to Z, a lot of stress within those systems as well with COVID, everybody working from home, the low 30-year low in real estate or in interest rate that everybody's refinancing as well. So you have this just huge bottleneck happening in these industries that are creating a lot of these delays. So what's happening is that, if it's an all cash borrower, then they get this leg up. So for the down payment assistance, I think that right now we're averaging, the COVID had a huge impact on us during a couple of months or so, creating major delays in the middle. We had planes in the air, the control towers just stopped all of a sudden. We're like, wait a minute. We already had an airport we were supposed to land at. How are we going to go to the next one with no fuel? And the no fuel is like, what's going on? That's exactly right. So it created so much stress. I'm actually on maternity leave, but I'm coming here with you guys because after.
Nice.
Paternity leave, not
paternity.
I'm going to take credit for whatever I can.
You didn't push the baby out.
So, I know, and I have a deep respect for all you women out there. But it took a toll. It took a toll on a lot of us. I think a lot of people have been really, really stressed out. And it's just been everything that's new about this, specifically buyers.
Yeah.
Buyers that have a chance right now, that have a leg up at the lowest. We're one of the lowest priced counties in the state, in one of the most expensive states in the country. We're one of the most expensive counties in the state. But there are families that have an opportunity at this, and that's why I talk about how do we give them a fair shake. We talked about we can't put through the letters or anything like that. As we talk about these down payment, the layers that I'll make a commercial. We have a 95+ pull-through rate at the loans that we approve. Close, they do close. It's a high percentage because some will say we make them jump through hoops. We do want to determine eligibility and qualification before they even start shopping. That is enormously important.
And you want them to succeed.
And we want them to succeed. We want them to know that they're qualified for a loan that they can afford, and that they're moving forward confidently on this. But I think the moment that there's that pre-approval letter has 3, 4, 5 layers of financing, nobody wants to touch them, right? So as much as they don't want to have a letter from the borrowers, I would love to not have a letter with all the different layers of down payment so that they have that fair shake at an offer. Because in a form, I'm not going to say the word, but they're looked at riskier buyers because of the layered financing. And I got to say, it's the farthest thing from
But that's truth. Just the opposite, right? Because
it's just the opposite.
They've got the backing.
They've got the backing. We've got the programs. We know that the program and the money is there. And we spend that hour and a half, 2 hours sitting down with them, verifying all of those documents, all before they're issued out a pre-approval letter, because we want to know.
It sounds to me, and Tim, I don't know what you think. It sounds to me that our agents need a little education on these types of things and what's available and how they work.
They do, but one of the things too is when the agents are writing those offers, they need to write the contract correctly, because there is secondary financing, and if they don't write it correctly, the listing agent is a little shocked when suddenly they're like, oh, there's 3 loans behind it. You're like, what? No, that was not disclosed. It's an FHA loan or is it conventional? If the communication is better on sometimes these offers, more of those offers would get accepted. Yeah. Because it's a real blow when suddenly it's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Because the timelines, Alex and I worked together a few times, and it's just, we need to have the good communication, and more of those offers may be accepted. When they're structured correctly, we know it's a 45-day or it's a 60-day. It's all good. We all want the same thing. We want people to get in housing.
But I think on the buyer's side, it's lack of education, or on the buyer's agent side, there's a lack of education there. Right. And I don't know how to, other than having classes, which we know agents aren't very good at attending.
Sorry. I've done it twice at the association office, but we could do it again.
So see, they don't attend. So, but I think Alex, go ahead. I just
and I appreciate it, Jody, but I think that's the $64,000 question. Is that we put them on all our pre-approval letters, exact breakdowns. I think it creates a lot of fear, though, because when you have the cash offer, you have 20% down. As a buyer, as a seller sees this, I don't think as a regular typical seller, they don't really know the difference between what is what. And it's up to the agent at that point to say, this is going to be a stronger borrower. So how we leave it up to them would be an important thing, right? And that they are first-time home buyers. One of the other aspects, and I talk about this in a lot of places that I'm at, is that when we look at home buyers and we look at first-time buyers or second buyers or those that need this assistance, because the assistance can go up to $135,000, one that we just received from the state, up to $100,000 per household, is that this is right here, the opportunity when we hear about parents, grandparents that want to move closer. Jill, you talked about yours, want to move closer to their grandchildren. There's parents that want their children to stay closer to them, not have to leave the state. Some of these programs are the only options. And I think as we, my kids are still teens and smaller, I'm thinking, what are they going to do to be able to stay in this county in the future, right? When they get to this point, it's just, we're seeing a lot of different changes, but this is an opportunity. It's an opportunity that is rare. Not everybody has it. This is not your vanilla and chocolate flavored financing that everybody has access to. This is very different. And it is the only opportunity for many to be able to stay and to be able to purchase. If they don't have that, and I think you mentioned it, Jody and Tim, that if the real estate community can be educated on this, that'd be great. Sometimes I will say that, we're guilty by association, a lot of these down payment assistance programs, because there's different layers. Sometimes the cities will have their down payment assistance, and they do require a very different type of program. I won't name any cities, but there's one specifically that will require their code enforcement officers to go out and inspect. Very different, and again, and we're almost like, That was you, VCCDC. No, I promise we don't have any code enforcement on payroll. And so at times we are guilty by association, and the delays are our delays, and we take responsibility for that as much as we can. But I think, Jody, you're absolutely right. The more that education could be provided, the better. And one thing that we don't do probably well enough is to promote all these buyers and the different type of assistance that they've received and been able to purchase. We have somebody that escaped the Paradise fires, came out to Ventura County, suffered in the Thomas fires, suffered in the Woozy fires, and they bought their home. The gentleman, this is a family, at $17 an hour was able to buy with all the assistance and family helping them out to put an enormous down payment. But if it wasn't even for the enormous down payment for family, that would not have been enough if it wasn't for our down payment to also bridge that gap. And now they just moved in about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Phenomenal success story. Yeah.
Well, what a story. That's awesome.
Alex, years ago, you had one. I had a client work with you, and their purchasing power could only get a condo. And with the assistance you provided with the financing, he was able to buy a house. It was awesome. And I won't name the city either, but they came out and wanted a bunch of different things done, and it was an REO property, and the REO company didn't want to do these things, and I kind of had to go a little ninja style and make these things happen. Everybody was happy and no problem.
Yay, that's awesome.
I was wondering on the, we talked a little bit about the keynote speaker, Dr. Myers, had talked a little bit about how the changing demographic, right? So we have so many seniors that, and a little bit about the people leaving California or Ventura County, and so I'd love to hear a little bit about maybe what programs or assistance we have that are specific to seniors or that are looking at that future demographic and how we're going to serve them.
Good question.
Alex?
Everybody's like,
I'm sorry, I didn't. Well, so I think for seniors, there's a proposition on the about the property taxes and transferring property taxes. So how that could work and benefit some seniors to relocate. That's up for debate on how that would be. Obviously, this isn't the platform, but there are senior programs where they can purchase. We just helped somebody out in the city of Moorpark, with affordable housing. So seniors that have been able to sell to buy an affordable unit because they're now on a fixed income. They do have the savings set aside, but still have to be able to prove that they can sustain from their fixed income, can sustain taxes, insurance, and a small payment. So those programs do exist. And I think this is also me plugging in affordable housing with the different cities. As much as we can protect those so that people can pay them forward is enormously important. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for agents to know these programs because they're not well known or understood. So as many as agents can understand these programs and really master them, they could be a huge resource for the cities that have these affordable housing programs and maintaining them. But it will depend, Jill, I think, on whether they are first-time buyers or not. Some programs are required for first-time buyers. Some aren't. I'll tell you, so as VCCDC, we received $3 million that we can use for assistance for first and non-first-time home buyers. Some of the caveats with this, or the program guidelines, are it was part of the whole impact that we had as a county. We lost a lot of our affordable housing stock during the Thomas fires, the Woozy fires a little bit, but more so in 2017 with the Thomas fires. We were already experiencing a housing crisis. This natural disaster comes through our county, and we lost a lot of affordable housing. Vacancy rates, if you guys remember, almost non-existent, right? And the price of rents were increasing pretty dramatically. So through this program, we can provide up to $100,000 in down payment assistance for buyers. Seniors are one that we have already spoken to be able to purchase here. So I think that's the kind of program that we need. We need to continue to advocate for this kind of a program. And the more that we can advocate together as an industry, the better. Out of this money, through the state of California, we got about a little bit over half of the entire amount that's coming specifically for Ventura County. So we're very, very proud about that, and about to launch it and officially, so that more people can know about it. But it's a phenomenal program, $100,000 that will allow you to get into home ownership. And I got to tell you, sometimes with the way the market is, that might not even be enough anymore. It's hard to catch this market where it's at.
A moving
but it
target.
At least does. Yeah, exactly. It's a moving target. So that's a
But
way specifically for seniors.
Don't you think that the market's going to change as we kind of go over and balloon payments are required? The payments that have been missed if they weren't tacked onto the end of their mortgage, and rental payments. And I think you're going to see. I feel like you're going to see a change in the housing market next year, come probably April, May timeframe, right? When all the projected periods are going to end. And then if people end up losing their jobs or losing their homes, I think we're still in for changes, I guess, is what I see. And I'm not a realtor, but that's what I'm seeing in what I read.
Right. And if I may just add to that, you're absolutely right, Marta. I was absolutely shocked that in the months of July and August, 1/3, a little over a third or under a third of all of the mortgage households in the United States had not made their June or July payments. Now, whether it was for the forbearance that was kicking in, what we still did not know was if that forbearance was going to be a 3-month and then they had to pay it all back, or will they tack it on at the end? That's still, the jury's still out on that. And how federal government will react to it is going to be important, because you're absolutely right. What will happen to 1/3 of the mortgages if they can't come back and pay those amounts when required?
Is that the level that it's up to? Is 1/3 of the mortgages went into forbearance?
They missed the payment. So whether it was because of forbearance or because they just missed the payment as a result of COVID, didn't know. That was a shocker to me.
Yeah, 1/3. I didn't realize it was quite that high.
Yeah.
The numbers are going down as far as people with lates or with the forbearance. And I agree with Marta. There will be some changes in the market, but I see it's weird because in the higher, or I don't know what higher is these days, because I've got clients in the 1.3 to 1.5 range, and we're looking at properties and they're 1-2 days on the market. We're comping them and suddenly we don't have time anymore. It's gone. But then in your 5 to 7 range, I see that area may have more adjustment in the next year as far as maybe some leveling out or even decline in values. But because it's a different consumer in a sense of the higher end may have a more a higher paying job, which is more secure versus the labor force type. So, and that's my perspective on it, what I'm seeing personally.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Tracy, anything you want to throw in here that you've learned or to add before we wrap the session? I think it's been really good, even though it's just us guys. I think
Rachel did say that there were a lot of other people tuning in that you just can't see them. So
okay.
Well,
Hi, everybody.
Tracy,
I'm just grateful for the company. But I am kind of curious, Alex, if there's any discussion on CBDG or for funding being used to adapt for some of those balloon payments, like in anticipation of that.
So we haven't, so something like the community block grant, CDBG, community block grant. So there hasn't been anything specific for that as of yet. I think, with government, they almost, once it's the problem, then they'll kind of react to it.
Yeah.
But, we did have CDBG funds with Ventura County. So with Ventura County, we did provide down payment assistance on a forgivable grant to first-time buyers. So it was about $250,000, and we've already exhausted those funds immediately. The need is enormous.
Wow.
Within about a month, 2 months and a half, we've allocated those monies for families, leveraged it with other down payment forgivable money and our VCCDC money. So we're doing about $75,000. That money, again, I think we were able to really impress the county to realize that not only can we grab those monies, create the guidelines for it, find eligible and qualified buyers that are low income buyers to be able to purchase in Ventura County. Almost seems like an oxymoron, but they exist. So they were, we're going to go back and reapply in November for more monies, Tracy. Now, how we use that, I think it's going to depend on that need. Where does the data come? What's happening in Ventura County? How many of those, 1/3 of the national mortgages are actually local? And how do we assist those families to get out of that situation, right? But then it goes back to, I think, what Jody or Tim said, or Marta, you brought this up too. What happens to a lot of these jobs that will just never come back? There's a percentage of jobs that will not return ever post COVID. And so were these buyers, were these owners at the time in those in those industries, and have to try to figure out how to reinvent themselves to go into a different industry, and with the very hard lift that they still need to maintain those mortgages that they already have, obviously, as they're doing this. So that could be a great discussion when we look at county money, cities money, state money, and try to bring it back into Ventura County. We always advocate for that. How much can we bring into the community to be able to assist the community with the different types of disasters and challenges that we face at that time?
That's a good note to end on. Thank you, Alex. You brought a lot of good information to the table. I really appreciate everybody participating. Tracy, Jody, Tim, and Jill, my co-moderator. I'm glad we made it through, and it sounds like we had people come back. So I'm very, very happy about that as well. Please pop over to use your other tab and go back into the lobby, and then go into the final session. We'll have a wrap session. So thanks again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.
You bet.
Bye, thanks, everyone.